Yo, Caspians, what's good, fam? So I want to take a look at this chart real fast and go into some more updates with Kaspa. So here's Kaspa with respect to others. There's just massive gains, a massive bounce, 60, 70% in a few days. This was about a week or two ago. And now we're finally coming back down, which is excellent to see. This is a healthy retest of this deep support. We'll see if we're going to stay here. This is another key level to hold, especially as we, basically a retest. Look at this. It's very interesting. Look in the early days of Kaspa and you see something very similar happen where, okay, you have a massive pump and then comes back down to this deeper average. And yeah, you see this little yellow line here is pointing up. This one's pointing up. It's good to see. It's a little too early to tell. We are still essentially in the consolidation phase in the macro time frame. But when this deep average starts to finally point upward. Right now, it's finally beginning to slow down. It's starting to plateau, and when it finally goes upward, that's the bullish signal that we're now entering a bull market for Kaspa. Still, I think we're in that consolidation phase. All right, fine, but it's healthy to see. It's not a matter of if, but when we finally have that second pump upward. It could be very soon. I don't want to jinx anything, but that next pump upward could take us much higher to 7.5 cents. Even all the way up back to like 10 cents. So keep an eye on that. Now, keep in mind, this is looking at with respect to others, which is basically all of the altcoins out there for crypto. So once Kaspa breaks out with respect to this chart, I mean, we're talking about massive gains and taking Kaspa back up to, top 40, top 30, top 20, eventually even top 10. That's the breakout that I think could be possible with adoption of VROGs on DAGKnight. But we're going to need adoption. First, it's that tech release, and it's going to take a little bit, it might be a little bit of a lag to get that adoption. There's going to be a lot of technology building on top of Kaspa. And then there's going to be a lot of development FOMO and then adoption FOMO. And then what comes after adoption FOMO, of course, investor FOMO. Everything's coming. We're at the extreme low. This is the very first major bear cycle for Kaspa. So if you can't HODL through this, then you're just not going to reach the all-time high again, that euphoria phase once again. We're at that all-time anger, we're at desperation, we're at depression. So hang in there, fam. All right, now let's get to some Kaspa updates. Back at the monthly chart real fast, Crypto Bull God pointed it out very clearly, and it makes a great point where it's like, okay, when others goes, for example, a 4x, this is going to put Kaspa's chart to an 8x, double that. So end game, once it goes all the way back up, it past all-time high, it can reach up to a 32x. I think it can go much higher than that, but that's just a very, paints a picture of where we're headed. This will take Kaspa to $2.5. That's where he's estimating, the price can reach up to. Very bullish, definitely possible for a bull cycle when Kaspa enters that bull cycle once again. Another excellent observation from Kaslens showing the average price of these massive wallets. Wallet number 1, average entry price of just 10 cents. Like, they're underwater. They're underwater like the rest of us. Wallet number 8, average entry price 7.7 cents. Wallet number 7, average entry 9 cents. So they're very much underwater, and they're buying and continuing to buy at massive quantities. Every opportunity, every dip, you see massive accumulation from wallet number 1. There's lots of different discussion of who wallet number 1 could be, and now there's another candidate, which is this Lehman Bush fund. And there's been some FUD going around with, it's not like it's just random FUD. Like, these people from Chinese community from Kaspa, they went and actually visited the office of Lehman Bush, and they saw that there was no one there. But Angel, the guy who was on the podcast, let's see what he says. Here he says, you can visit the HQ office, and welcome to do so. And basically that their UAE vehicle will be approved so they can share more public information. So it's like, it could be there for tax reasons, legal reasons, an empty office before it actually gets active. And like, what do you need it for? Why would there be people even there if it's not even like, the fund isn't even it's basically discussion at this point. I mean, he's sharing how everything's being outlined, and yeah, basically it's going to be approved and they're going to share more information once that happens. So this whole likely scam thing had massive amounts of views. Definitely good alert, but just seeing empty room, no people, no logo is more than meets the eye, essentially. And the fact that like people even think that it could be a scam, again, you have to remember this is a closed fund of $500 million, meaning it's only going to be open for a very exclusive institutional and large angel VC investors. It's not going to be open to any of us here on X, or YouTube, But for those wondering, this is actually $500 million target valuation for Kaspa. And I love how it's like long only. They're only buying it to hold, and of course, long-term reserve asset. That's what it's going to be used for. And they're not going to dilute it in any way. They're going to keep that and just going to hold that. So we'll see how exactly they're going to accumulate. Again, I mentioned about OTC deals. It's just going to pump up the price a ton. And why would they mention such a fund like right now? Well, probably because maybe people on this board, like for example, Angel, I'm sure he owns a lot of Kaspa. With some other people, Kaspa Kai, they own a lot of Kaspa, I'm sure. All these different people that are probably like, working to help this fund, well, they've already probably had their bags secured. So mentioning this is just in the benefit of the community, of Kaspa community. We're the OGs here. And, we've been having a tough 2 years. So having this type of news can at least try to make you a little bit more optimistic and to double down, front run them if you can with a few $100. We don't have so much extra money. This is the first major institutional adoption, like basically institutional money coming into Kaspa. First, I guess second to the ASIC manufacturers, because we already know for a fact that Ice River, and through their now on the NASDAQ, their BGIN, they hold like hundreds of millions of dollars. They're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and that they own like $50 million of crypto at least. Majority of that could be 85% of that in Kaspa as well. Who knows the exact numbers? We'll see the updated figures in the new year, or just by the new year. Could be at the end of this month. We'll see more figures and updated financial report from Ice River, BGIN. That'll be very cool to see, because there is a chance that they own up to 1 billion Kaspa. I was going into the numbers. I did a video on it. It's kind of unlikely, but it's possible that they own so much Kaspa, much more than just 200 million coins. Excellent observation. Crypto Rover noticing that the market capitulation of Bitcoin is at all-time high. Capitulation, we're talking about liquidations of major amounts of money. So it happens all the time at basically the bottoms. Every single bottom, there's just major capitulation. So what happened recently? Well, the all-time high capitulation. And this goes to show a major signal that the bottom very much could be in. And I mentioned before I don't know which video, past video, that it looks like we're in that bear market. Bitcoin is actually in that bear market state, and it's showing signs of that. I think we could be in it, but we may only need a few, like maybe a month, maybe till the new year, to finally be able to have that beautiful reversal. All it takes is one simple little change of policy. The Fed, the new chair, it's all it takes, and we can get the rate cuts in, very bullish, even the quantitative easing happening, and markets are going to reverse. It's simple as that. No better signal than max fear, max capitulation. You can't get better than that, because it may just happen 1 or 2 more times, and then we're blast off, but you do not want to miss out. Great update as well for Kaspa VROGs. ETA 6 to 8 months, very much could be possible. Aspects going into major details about VROGs and how it's being developed, how just the organization of it, and saying that it's already been like R&D, research and development has been ongoing even for the past 1.5 years now. It's not like it's anything new, and this research around VROGs has been going on. It's absolutely possible and feasible. There hasn't been absolutely no red flags, as Aspect puts it. And the fact that he is the one that's going to try to bring in this implementation of key pillar CDAG structure, basically like the underlying architecture, the crypto, the coding framework for VROGs and all this development around it. He's the one. Aspect's going to be the one that puts it all together, and that's awesome, because Aspect is the GOAT when it comes to all this type of development, underlying architecture of code. He's the one that built Kaspa NG, and it's phenomenal. He's an OG, one of the most OG developers, even in Litecoin. So coming from Litecoin, coming down to Kaspa, and continuing to develop on Kaspa really shows how like some of the most brilliant minds are here from around the industry, and they're here to stay because they realize the vision that Kaspa has and where it's going forward. As Aspect puts it, there's a one-size-fits-all solution, and that is VROGs. That is why VROGs is going to be the end game for Kaspa, and not just Kaspa, but all of crypto DeFi. The fact that it's a zk composability layer turns Kaspa from a global sequencer into a global zk sequencer without imposing any limitations or obstructing anything. Bruh, you have to realize how hecking bullish this is. Okay, zk is like literally the future for crypto. It's the future for data networks. It is the future because this allows quite literally everything, anything. It's, you know, Zcash. Zcash uses zk. It's privacy. The fact that it can be able to prove something without revealing anything about the actual proof or solution, it's incredible. It's incredible technology. It is the vanguard, again, of technology, crypto technology. And that Kaspa is going to be the leader in this. It's going to be the global sequencer for zero knowledge proofs is unbelievable. Unbelievable. You're going to be able to run everything. Imagine it like Legos. I've mentioned this before, that you can build any type of Lego you want from different type of, imagine different ecosystems, different applications building Legos, and then you can connect them all together. Connecting them, that connection is essentially that global zk sequencer, being able to connect them all and use Kaspa as that underlying foundational layer for everything. As Aspect says, if properly executed with concise and coordinated efforts, it can get MVP within 6 to 8 months. We'll see. If it's not coordinated, you know, it could take possibly a year. But, you know, so you got to stay optimistic with this, and that the dev team is going to really, you know, push forward, because Michael Sutton as well shines light on some structure around both DAGKnight and VROGs, because DAGKnight is not getting left behind. Here, Coder of Stuff is actually going to take on DAGKnight. He's focusing on it, being guided by Michael Sutton. So the fact that Coder of Stuff is actually taking this upon himself to work on DAGKnight, I did not think this was happening. So this is incredible kudos to Coder of Stuff, because he's, again, an OG Kaspa developer, but he's really, you know, helping out the whole ecosystem a ton by taking on this massive development here, DAGKnight. I mean, this is just unbelievable technology. This is literally the end game for crypto scalability. Not just scalability, but also security. This actually does increase the security of Kaspa, being responsive to the network delay. It's incredible. So Kaspa won't have to make any sort of assumptions or any type of, won't have any parameter for keeping the network secure, while allowing max scalability. Literally internet speed, literally as fast as the internet. That's what it means. As secure as Bitcoin while being as fast as the internet. And then Michael Sutton explaining how his main focus is VROGs, but again, he's basically the guide behind everything and helping a lot on the coding side of it. While Satoshi Nakamoto, Yonatan Sompolinsky is the researcher. He's basically the mastermind behind it. Here, I think someone brings it up here. Yeah, Yonatan is involved in everything in regards to thinking, researching, and designing, but he doesn't do the code himself. He is the mathematician. He's the brains behind it, exactly as Satoshi has been described from those who worked with Satoshi and those that seen his work. Satoshi is the same. He's the brains. He's the mastermind. Satoshi was the researcher, and then he had a team of coders that brought his vision into life. That's exactly what Kaspa's doing here. Kaspa's not just the upgrade of Bitcoin, but Yonatan is the upgrade of Satoshi. The years have gone by and the brain has enlarged. This visualizer, although it looks like it's done by AI, it's actually extremely accurate, and it has the thumbs up from Michael Sutton, so that's sick. This is you gotta check it out on X, okay? Cyber Visual is the guy's handle here, and it's very interesting. I mean, this thing is complex as heck. So you got the layer 1, basically the user transactions, and then below that you got the Kaspa L1 sequencing, data availability. That's basically what we currently have, as well as the computational DAG. But then you got the VROG execution layer. This is the whole new thing, bringing together that basically the DeFi, the being able to build every single one of these represents like essentially a computer, and you can build various applications on it. And then you have this zero knowledge proof generation layer, being able to tie everything together in a completely trustless way, basically extremely decentralized and secure. So it all ties back to Kaspa L1 and therefore in the end with the users themselves. So it's all composable, it all interacts with each other, and it's all extremely seamless. It's the end game. Honestly, the end game for data networks, and this is going to be studied in textbooks to come. It's going to be studied in classes. It's going to have a whole degree just on Kaspa block DAG, I swear. It'll be called Kaspa 101. You ready now? I also want to make a point about world war resistance. Okay, Kaspa is internet chaos resistant, world war resistant. Okay, Yonatan here is explaining how Zcash is not world war resistant because it's essentially the same exact structure as Bitcoin, the linear chain. It's not resistant, and it's very interesting to understand why it is not resistant to, for example, if World War III were to happen and these different countries basically close off their internet to the others with whatever, like a giant firewall of some sort. And here BRT goes into great depth explaining how this actually works. So in Bitcoin or in Zcash, when the internet is down or fragmented across certain regions, nodes will keep the network up and running. In the USA, nodes will continue to build blocks, just as nodes in Europe or any region will as well. But they will be making parallel chains not connected as one. Because Bitcoin follows the longest chain rule, when the internet is back up, only the longest chain with the most blocks will survive, meaning other chains will be discarded, orphaned, and many transactions will have to be rebroadcasted on the network. So, I mean, you already can see the parallelization. It's an issue for Bitcoin, but that is an absolute benefit for Kaspa because the block DAG, it encourages parallelized chains. In Kaspa, when a future consensus protocol called DAGKnight is implemented, internet chaos is handled a lot more efficiently. Just like Bitcoin, nodes in certain regions will build their own blocks locally until the internet is back up. However, all honest blocks are added to the DAG and ordered in consensus according to DAGKnight rules. No blocks are discarded, no energy is wasted. Boom. Kaspa, end game. Resistance against World War III. That's you have to really understand that. Like, imagine you're buying Bitcoin as a hedge against destabilization of the current currencies of the world, but then you realize, oh wait, we're not safe from disaster. If World War III does strike, okay, Bitcoin isn't safe. It is not safe at all. You can have these transactions, you could be putting it in, and then it just simply be discarded later on, and it's going to have to be reprocessed down the line, and funds can get lost, transactions will be lost, and you don't even know if it's going to be added back on chain or how it can be added, how long it's going to take for everything to be re-added and verified. It'll be a security nightmare, honestly. With Kaspa, it's going to be right when the internet comes back online, everything's going to be added instantly back to the block DAG. No blocks discarded, no energy wasted. That's what's up. So with Bitcoin, like having to rebroadcast the transactions, people are going to get basically scammed. Okay, so like for example, the guy a few days ago or whatever, before the war happened, someone sent the Bitcoin to someone else, and now for example, to get paid, to pay for something, say he just paid for, in this case, a car. And now he doesn't have to rebroadcast the transaction. He doesn't have to. He already has the car. So that means to not rebroadcast the transaction, he can essentially just keep the Bitcoin and the car. Again, major security concern. And this will not happen on Kaspa. It does not and cannot happen because all blocks are accepted on the network with no discarding or no orphaning. Probabilistic finality means a transaction is more and more likely to be irreversible the longer it stays in the blockchain, but it's never guaranteed with 100% certainty. Bitcoin probabilistic finality is 60 minutes or 6 confirmed blocks. Kaspa finality is 10 seconds or 10 blocks. It's around 10 seconds. It could be like around 6 seconds. It really depends on the exact probability. It can be like 98% probability within like within like 6 seconds, 5 seconds, and then like 99% probability that a transaction cannot be reverted at 10 seconds. So with DAGKnight, finality is achieved at network latency, which means transactions will confirm at the speed of internet and immediately become irreversible. Oh my word. Oh my gosh. Do you guys understand how bullish this is? Freakishly bullish. This doesn't exist. It has never been possible. It has never even thought to be possible. This people would have called this impossibility. And now it is coming to Kaspa. As he explains, as a final note, as he should add, there's no currency or money system in existence that can achieve this. Kaspa is the one and only. All right, guys. Man, you don't understand how early we are right now. I'll have to do a whole nother video on just covering this, the power of DAGKnight and explaining it. But it's beautiful. It's literally Nobel Prize worthy, of course. Sorry, Blockchain 100, but I would hope Kaspa's not invited there again. Anyways, I don't know where this is exactly, but Sailor wants a Tangem Bitcoin collection wallet. Here he is with the Tangem crew holding a Bitcoin Tangem. And all right, so bullish, man. If Sailor is understanding Tangem is like constantly shilling Kaspa. Constantly. I mean, it's a little low key, but they're the first major cold wallet to integrate Kaspa tech. Okay, to integrate not just Kaspa tech, but also KRC20 and all of that. And there more to come. So Tangem is extremely bullish with Kaspa. For example, their last promotion only highlighted and showcased Bitcoin exclusive limited edition and Kaspa exclusive limited edition. No other currency was highlighted or was advertised during this whole promotion. But we got a catch. They threw out the line and they caught Sailor with their Bitcoin exclusive limited edition. And of course, I'm sure he saw the Kaspa limited edition. He likes Tangem. Tangem likes Kaspa. It's basically what comes down to Sailor likes Kaspa. That's what it comes down to. He just won't admit it. He can't admit it. You can't not admit it, especially right now. So he's silently stacking his Kaspa bag on the low, on the side, possibly suppressing the price. You never know. But there's going to be a time where nothing or nobody can suppress Kaspa as the FOMO comes in. And it's just going to be pumping and short squeezing anyone that tries to sell it. The supply shock is real for Kaspa. And it's really at our doorstep, especially going into the new year, following through until and after we get the major development releases. So stay bullish, my friends. And Kaspa nodes, check it out. If you're not running one, well, what the heck are you doing, man? Start running your Kaspa node. And I want to make a point that in case you do have issues, you have to go to port forwarding, okay? But another name for it is it can be called port mapping. All right, so I was helping a friend, all right? And to add this port forwarding, I had to go to the router settings, advanced settings, and I had to add in a new port mapping. I had to map the ports 16111 and all that stuff, okay, to the local IP address of the device. So I had to do the port mapping. All right, I had to fill out the port mapping. Basically the same exact thing as port forwarding. Okay, there wasn't any mentioning of port forwarding. Then boom, that was how I can get the node to be public and accessible. So just to keep in mind, I'll make another video on it. If anyone has any troubles with running their node, let me know, because there is the only chance that it doesn't work is if your internet service provider is running a CGNAT for your router, basically, and doing so would not allow you to open port forwarding. So it's pretty much more, I think it's more rare, but you do see some occurrences. Some community members unfortunately have that. So just keep an eye out and stay bullish, my friends. Peace out.